All right. It looks like we are live. Yay, we're doing it. First live. Just going to hang out here for a couple minutes and see if anyone hops on. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. How do I test my sound? Make sure you can hear me. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Let's see. We are live. Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome. This is fun. Let me get my... Thank you. Appreciate you. Let me get my lighting all normal. Friday at 4 p.m. in Texas. I've got my kombucha, which I love to pour in a wine glass. Makes it fun. And I'm excited. We're going to talk about men's mental health. I've been also reading Warriors and Worriers for the first time, and I haven't read that yet. So I'm looking forward to sharing some stuff that I have been thinking about with that. And just some fun stuff. Again, we'll share a couple of different things that I've been thinking about. And marriage causes divorce, 10 p.m. UK. Oh, hey, 10 p.m. in UK. Welcome. I love it. We are all over the world. Dallas, Texas, 4 p.m. Have a whole bunch of clients that are in the UK. So always figuring out our time zones with GMT. But yeah, thank you for being here late into your Friday evening. What else? What do you guys got going on? Who else is here? Where are you joining from? I feel like the holiday season is also upon us, so that's nice. I'm excited to have some of that festive holiday cheer. Awesome. I'm just going to hang out for like maybe 30 more seconds and then just dive into it. I think this is a fun thing. I've always wanted to do this, and then I was like, let's just do it. Let's not overthink it too much. I feel like in life, it's always good to just do the thing and see what happens. So here we are. In the meantime, I'm going to pull up some of the things that I wanted to share about. Bum, bum, bum. Got my... Okay. All right. Welcome. We've got more people here. It's great to see y'all. I'm excited to dive in. Hope you've had a good week and are ready for the weekend. I'm also very technically behind. I feel like I'm gonna figure stuff out as I go. I know other people have they can put people's comments on the on the screen. I haven't figured all that out. So I'm just starting, and then we'll get the technical stuff figured out as I go. So what do you mean get the likes up? What does that mean? Oh, cool. Yes, that would be great. Okay. And then also the space is quite open. Hey there, welcome. Yay, first live, Ancient Intelligence. The space is also quite open for questions. Feel free to ask any question you want to ask, and I'll get into it throughout the live. I figure I'll go for maybe 30 minutes, maybe 40, depending on how things go. But yeah, I'm going to make it a habit of doing these most Fridays. I know we're heading into the holiday season, so might miss a couple Fridays here or there, but I think Fridays are a good time. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, guys. So Here's one thing I really wanted to talk about. I shared it in my newsletter earlier today, and I'm going to pull this up right here. Should I screen share? No, I'll just not screen share yet. Okay. So basically, I coach a lot of men, and I have learned a lot from some of my mentors. I've taken courses with Connor Beaton, who is a wonderful men's coach. He's the one that heads up Man Talks. Hold on a second. Hey, Conrad. Thank you. Warm regards to you in Brazil. Love it. Dewey Freeman is also an incredible elder man who I've learned from, Traver Boehm, and I've done a whole bunch of certifications and workshops that have really awakened just to the extent of how misunderstood men are, specifically within the therapy and counseling space. I think that's huge. So one thing I was writing about, we're in November, it's Men's Mental Health Month, and there are a couple of different reasons for that. So one thing I was writing about was the study that the University of Manchester did in 2021. And in that, they found that 91% of the men who committed suicide were in fact already seeking professional help for the problems in their lives. And of these 50%, of these 91, 50% were seeking support from a mental health specialist on a regular basis. So basically, it's like they were seeing a therapist or a counselor, and this therapist or counselor marked them as no or low risk, and they committed suicide anyway. And it just makes me really upset and frustrated because there's so much that's misunderstood. Men are brushed off, the way that men, like what I've learned about men from my experiences coaching and all the learning that I've done. And there's a couple of different reasons for this. And I find it so frustrating. I think number one, precision. A lot of counselors and therapists kind of try to treat men as if they would women. And oftentimes women are looking to find connection. They're looking to kind of be seen. I love it with the fiery questions. I'm here for it. Let's do it. Drop your questions and I'll jump in. So what I'm talking about now is men's mental health and just the way that men are kind of brushed off. And so I was talking about how important precision is. So with women, oftentimes women want to be seen and they want to be heard and they just want to kind of express what's going on inside of them because that expression in and of itself is a release for women. And what I've learned is that that's not true for men. There needs to be a very clear purpose and reason for that release. Right? This release is going to get me to my pain point, which is then going to get me to understand how I've been showing up, kind of with no power and I've just been people pleasing. And because of that, I'm going to stop doing this behavior and it's going to get me X result and Y result. That's super, super important. And so the other thing, like with that, a lot of mental health professionals don't do a lot of embodiment work. And so what I was writing about in my article today was that I've learned, how people talk about how women, feel unsafe walking around the streets at night, just any given, maybe even a dangerous neighborhood, any given place at night, women definitely feel unsafe with the surroundings. And one of my mentors, Dewey Freeman, he was actually talking about how that feeling that women feel is possibly similar in the way, like you can compare it to the way that men feel unsafe in their bodies, right? This is something I've learned from so many people. I've seen it with so many men, right? Like there's a real disconnection. It's like there's this big cut between the head and the body, and they're quite disconnected. And I just see it all the time. And Tom is saying mental health in men. Yeah, depression is good for us men, signaling there's an imbalance and we need to make changes. This is from a famous book called The Road Less Traveled. Yeah. And so what mental health professionals don't do. Thanks, Tom. I appreciate you. Thank you. So what mental health professionals don't do is they don't focus on embodiment, right? Embodiment is really hard, and it's something that I focus on a lot in my sessions. Everything that we experience as children, all of our pain and all the things that we repress and we suppress, all of that, it doesn't live in the head. It lives in the body. And so if a man is disconnected from his body, he can't ever actually access the pain point to then be able to heal it. And so talk therapy is just like circles of BS going on in his head with the same stuff he's already struggling with and dealing with, and there's really never any release. And so embodiment is such a big deal. And there's so many beautiful techniques and therapies. IFS is a really great one. Thinking about, somatic, which means body-based repatterning techniques that kind of come from attachment theory. I know this is a lot of, I'm getting deep into this stuff, but I really love this stuff. And therapy is definitely, for the most part, a waste of men's time, 1,000%, because it's not focused in ways that would actually support men. So precision is important. Like, why am I doing this? Why are you getting me to do all these exercises? What's the point? Embodiment. So one of the important things about embodiment, I just need to share this because it's just so key. Why should you guys care about making sure that whoever you talk to or whoever you ask for support with, whether it's a counselor, a coach, a mental health professional, this person should be well-versed in embodiment practices. Why? Because 70% of what you communicate to the world is nonverbal. We all know this, right? What's happening in your body is what you're communicating. What your nervous system is experiencing is what you're communicating. So it does not matter what you talk about on a couch with someone for an hour. None of that does anything. And that's why it's so frustrating, just this consistent way in which people try to force men to do therapy the way women like to do therapy. It's just, and I will say for women, that doesn't work very well either. It just feels better for women, so they're more interested in it, right? So oftentimes it's what you say and what your body says are completely different things. And so when you have someone that really understands embodiment and knows how to help you get into those practices so that you can reach into your body, understand the sensations, figure out where the pain points are coming from, it's a game changer. It's so important. So embodiment is really big. The other thing too, have you thought about the connection between depression and perceived low status for men? I've heard it said that the two are often indistinguishable. Interesting. So are you saying that there's this idea or there's this perception that men that have depression are perceived as low status? Is that what you're saying? I think that if that's out there, it's so it's so dangerous. It's such a dangerous idea. And it's no, low status, okay, got it. So having lower status can cause depression is what you're saying. I think it's a really big conversation. I think it's a great question, thinking about low status in general. So when you talk about low status, do you mean financially? Do you mean within elite or not elite circles? When you mean low status, what do you mean? I'm not sure that that's related at all. I mean, I do know low status as in identity. I mean, I think I think low status happens when there's no purpose, drive, and there's no mastery of anything, right? I think one of the things that I've experienced and I've seen from men uh, is when there's no like solid father figure, or there's no uncle, mentor, like person, grandfather, person to replace that. There's just like this feeling of I'm not good enough, right? Like I can't, my life is not like I can't do it, or I can't do whatever I have my mind set on. There's just this kind of lack of purpose and meaning and direction. So I think that is something that happens, and then that then causes um, that low status. I think that it just depends. I don't know. I think this question is interesting because it's like, which circles are we talking about, right? There's so many different circles that you could be in. And so I think when someone's saying low financial status causes shame, which causes depression, yes, absolutely. But again, like I said, if you take it back to the beginning, like how did that happen, right? I'm certain that in a small town, maybe in like some like a blue collar environment in a small town, someone that had like just had one path, right? Had that father figure, or had like male mentors, or had a community, and just continued on his path and has mastered something, even if like he doesn't make a lot of money. I imagine that person isn't depressed because he has that like feeling of usefulness, which I think is so key. I think that's a really big one. Yeah, I think it does depend on your social surroundings in such a big way, right? I mean, you think about this is such a Western question, right? Because we see the riches and the fame. If you think about, people in third world countries, they're much less depressed than we are in the United States, in the UK, in Australia. They're much less depressed, and they have so much less than us. I think poor physical health causes depression and brain chemical imbalance. Absolutely. I think, like I always talk about, I think it's attachment issues. I really, really do. Attachment issues are really major. So if we think about the developmental model, this is something that I've learned from Dewey Freeman and other like attachment theory masters. Those first couple of years in life, a child is basically the basic question they're asking non-verbally is the world okay? Like, is the world okay? And when there is attunement, when there is nurture, when they go through a tough time and they come out okay, basically the belief gets made that, yeah, I can go through hard things, but the world is generally okay. And it's going to be okay. The next few years is the part of the developmental cycle called like, am I okay? This is when it's like the 3-year-old, the 4-year-old is like trying different things, trying to get away with things, is like pushing the boundaries, is trying to figure out who they are in this world. And the big question they're asking is like, am I okay? And if they don't get the feedback, verbal and nonverbal, that like, you are great, you are like, we're grateful you're here, you are a gift in this world, you can, yes, you can, all of that, then it creates this like, I am not okay, right? And so a lot of people with attachment issues gives you this feeling that says like, I'm not okay. And that's what so many people struggle with. And oftentimes the conversation becomes, oh, okay, well, that person is just depressed. They need medicine. And that's not true. What that person needs is healing attachment wounding. And it's just, you do that through the body, and you do that through different practices and therapies that really help you do what's called reparenting. You kind of go back in time in lieu of having a time machine, right? Because we don't have a time machine. We can't go back in time. But we can do this. And we can do this with a trusted professional that can support us in this, that can hold space, that can give us that attunement that we never got when we were kids, right? Okay. Marriage Causes Divorces. Hey there. Thank you for that. Appreciate your support. Why are men usually avoidant and women anxious? Love this question. Personal experience in my life. This is like my whole 20s was this like big question I was asking myself. It's because oftentimes women are like, this comes from the school of like Stasi Eldridge, which I love. I always have her book next to me. Wild at Heart, her husband, John Eldridge, writes about men. Women are looking deeply to be cherished and to be loved, like deeply, deeply, deeply. And when they're not, or they get the sense that they're not, right, that there's something wrong with them, then there is this need to want to please and prove to people. Women are such pleasers in general, you guys. Like evolutionary biology, like I don't care what the common modern day narrative is, like women want to please men. It's part of our biology so that we can stay alive. Women foundationally want to please men. And so the anxiousness is something that happens in women a lot more because there's this, okay, well, if I feel like I'm not loved and I'm not cherished, so I have to do everything in my power to get that love, get that, let me try this. Maybe that'll make them do it. Let me try this. Let me, I don't want to lose connection because I've lived with so many women have lived with such breadcrumbs of that cherishing and that love and that really just being seen, especially by dad. We've had such a dearth of dads in our modern culture, especially the last couple of decades. And so I think that it's that there's a lot of anxiousness in women because of that biological aspect. And I think with men, there's a bit of a shutdown that happens when they don't get the attunement. So if you think about the developmental cycle, this is something that I teach a lot in my work as well. As babies, I'm getting into the nitty gritty here. I hope you guys are into it. But as babies, basically, we bid for attunement and attention and contact. And we cry, we wiggle, we scream, right? And generally within an hour, a baby will bid for attention maybe 15 to 18 times, okay? And when that baby gets the attention and attunement in a very in an attuned, present way, everything's fine. But when the baby doesn't get that, or maybe they get fed, but mom's not focused on it, or dad's somewhere else, so mom's worried, basically the child then latches on to the thing, like the food or the screen or whatever, and they don't attach to the actual person. And then what ends up happening too is when there's a delay in that attunement, oftentimes boys will shut down. Shut down is a really common thing for boys. And so that's why, to answer that earlier question about avoidance, boys are just, they tend towards shutdown earlier because also there's, I think, the narrative around like, don't ask for help, man up, you have to do everything yourself. There's that narrative is pushed so early on. It's insane. When young boys are still developing, they're in their stage 1 where they should be loved and attuned to the same as girls, right? And so I think they develop this idea that I can't trust anyone. I'm better off alone. Bad things happen when I'm in connection, right? It gets lost, it goes away. And so I think that's why more men grow up to be more avoidant. Whereas with girls, it's this like pleasing thing. There's like, oh, I need more connection. And so that's what ends up happening. Okay, I'm going to read through some of these. Question: how do you think higher education, to include graduate school education such as MBA, JD, or MD degree, affects identity and relationships? I mean, in the Western world, it's been a part of our status games, right? And I think it's a part of, I think if you double click and you go a little bit deeper, it's a signal for the potential for provision, right? If someone has a higher graduate degree as opposed to just a bachelor's degree, then culturally we've all agreed to this idea that, okay, that person will be able to provide more than someone without it. And so it contributes to the Western status conversation. I see people here in Brazil that know how to properly be an attractive man with low money or low social status. Yeah, I mean, I see that too a lot. I see it in Latin American countries as well. Like I see it in Cuba. I've seen it in Cuba, which I mean, Cuba of all places. In Colombia, right? I think when there's a focus on physical fitness. I think that's one thing that signals status instantly. It's just like, I'm strong. I can be strong. That's a biological status signal. So I think there's that. And then I think there's so many different ways to signal that too. I think very few men these days, just in the world, maybe not parts of men's groups and stuff, but just know how to be present and calm and attentive, have like real presence, really great eye contact and gaze. So I imagine, Conrad, that those men in Brazil are practicing that, right? If they're not super smart and they're not going to university, right? So I think that's part of it. Often typical therapy makes men feel infantilized. Sometimes they like to be told, you're a useless bastard, then be given a viable path upwards. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I was talking about how important precision is to like male coaching and male therapy, how important it is to really just like get to the bottom of why you're doing this and explaining, like, if you do this, you will get this. A lot of times with women, they're not interested in that. In the same way women are not interested in solutions oftentimes, right? In conversation, women are really interested in connection. You know, I oftentimes find that when I ask a woman a question, she'll be like, she'll respond to me asking the question. Like she won't really think about it first. She'll just respond with her feeling about my question. And it's so funny because I'm always just like, I love women and I have wonderful women friends. And so I know this about women, and I know it's because she really wants me to know how much she's connecting to me in this moment. And that matters to women. It does. It matters to us. And so we'll go back and forth and I'll like dive in deeper and we'll say, well, what about this and that and that? When I ask a man a question, I know he's going to give me a really precise, thoughtful answer. And so I like do the Alison Armstrong thing, duct tape on the mouth, shut up, sit back, wait for the answer, and really just like sit and just let it come out. And it's always so precise and thoughtful. And the answer to the question is not how he feels about the question. The answer to the question is what he thinks the answer to the question is, which is so shockingly awesome, right? And that's why men are so great. And so I had this happen this week with a client who was struggling with conversations with his mother. And she just has no concept of like asking men questions and then doing the duct tape, just like let them talk, right? And so I think that's just something that women need to learn about men. Men are not answering questions to connect with you. They're answering questions to tell you what they think the answer is. So I think that's just like a man-woman type thing, which is fun. What issues occur when one parent is attuned to the child's needs and the other isn't attuned at all? Well, they say that the biggest predictor for a healthy mother-son dynamic is a present father. Just a healthy mother-child dynamic. They say that it's a present father that is attuned to her. So if the mother is deeply attuned and maybe dad is just like not as attuned, but he's really supportive of her, of his wife, I think it can be okay. I think it's just again, it's I can't imagine, right? Your mother is your primary caregiver in the first few years of your life, especially during breastfeeding. I think it can be okay if dad really steps in and is that attuned parent. I think 100% that can be okay. I do think that there's it's just I don't know. I don't even know if I have like English words for it, right? It's like the mother child bond. This baby was inside of the mother for 9 months. That's already been a bond, and then this baby is now outside of the mother. The mother is important. She plays the most important role in the beginning, and so I think that's just it is what it is. If we think about our ancestral history, for a lot of our history, women were supporting other women with babies. Men were off doing what they did, protecting, providing, doing all the things. Men, it would be very common for a father to die out in warfare. And so grandmothers would step in, aunties, sisters, right? That's why female bonding is so different than male bonding is. It's very different. And there's, the evolutionary psychology around why women are so interested in dissecting the behavior of other women at an innate level. Like, oh, is she going to take my spouse? Is she going to help me? Is she going to stab me in the back? It comes from a very biological place, a survival place, in the same way that men just have this like innate desire to fight and compete. And speaking of, I was reading about this in that Joyce Benenson book, Warriors and Worriers, behavioral psychologists' take on sex differences, which is so fun. I'm only on chapter 1, but I'm excited to keep going on that. So maybe I'll share a couple of thoughts about that after I read some of these. My boss is a woman, and golly, she is so relationship driven, and it makes me feel awkward. I can imagine how freaking awkward that is. I mean, just because work is work, and it was for such a long time, and the way in which men have functioned in work is just so different than the way women function in work. And so that's why it's just so hard to bridge that gap. And I know we were talking about that on feminized institutions and all of that. And it's tough. It really, really is tough. There's just something different that women add. When I went to therapy, this is Tim saying, when I went to therapy, they just said, you're doing fine. Just put yourself out there. But I never got any help on how to do that. Oh, Tim, this kills me. This kills me because there's some wonderful practitioners out there, and it's just, I'm so sorry you had that experience. I'm so sorry. Again, because in my world, in my psychological world and coaching and what I learn and what I think about, it's like the inner world of men is so vast and big and beautiful, and there's so much there. Oftentimes, so much of it is just a little bit under the surface. It's like, I heard this once, a great practitioner hears about the branches and the leaves, but doesn't let that person get up without helping them see the root. Every time. Okay? Any practitioner that is still stuck in the branches and the leaves of the conversation is not doing their job, right? There's so much down below that is oftentimes unconscious and it can't even come up in basic conversation. It has to be awakened and discovered through attachment theory, through embodiment practices, through the body, through internal family systems type therapy. Gestalt, which I think Gestalt is an incredible foundation as well. And it's not that popular in the West, because in the West, they've taken this approach of like, what do they call it? Like patient-centric therapy, in that it's always about affirming the person, which is terrible, especially for men. right? It just doesn't work. And so no way. I'm so sorry, Tim, but yeah, there's some wonderful practitioners out there. Book a call with me if you want to get into stuff. I have my discovery call links on my YouTube page. There's also, again, Connor Beaton is wonderful. Man Talks, he has a group of coaches that practice under him. Yeah, you want to get someone that has a really good understanding of attachment theory and attachment repair work. So really good. Anya is incredibly smart and thoughtful. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here, you guys. Okay. Men's therapy needs to be action-based and practical rather than just talking about emotions. Absolutely. Action-based therapy would be a lot more helpful. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Action-based, precise, body-focused, and like really just getting to the root of what's going on is what you need. So, okay, Anya, our one-on-one is an hour long, and I hate this time the most about my job. Oh, the one-on-one with your boss. Is that what you're talking about? Oh man, 1 hour for a one-on-one with a boss? That's a long time. That's a long time. I've never had more than 30 minutes. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe you can put together a take on why you think it should be shorter and why that would be important for you. I think that would be a good thing to do. So I'm sorry about that. Crazy. I think that's too much also. Yeah. Okay. So what am I going to share? The last few things before we head off. Let's see. Okay, so I've been reading Warriors and Worriers, and I think it's really great. So Joyce Benenson is basically suggesting that she's talking about just the foundational difference between boys and girls, and she talks about how when most of one sex does something, like it's usually because there's a survival reason for it. And so she's talking about boys enjoy physical fighting, finding enemies, capturing enemies, competing. Basically, boys enjoy intergroup competition. They love it. Why do boys practice behaviors that contribute to intergroup competition? Well, because this led them to survive better when they grew up. That's the foundational reason why. And it's just like it's just so crazy how our modern world just doesn't, so many of the things that I feel like our bodies and our psyches and just our biology really needs to thrive. The modern world has kind of cut us off from a lot of that. So that's what I was reading about. Girls spend a lot of time talking about other people in their lives. So little girls will pretend play like, oh, I'm the mommy and you're the daddy and you're the sister. Then later they start to discuss their family and friends in meaningful ways. They basically, and then she was saying, they don't just talk about the positive aspects, they dissect their most negative behavior. And then as girls become adolescents, who becomes the subject of their discussions? Of course, it's boys. It's got to be boys. It always becomes boys. Like to this day, I could be sitting around a table with the CEO of this, the director of that company, this like extremely smart woman here, da 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 da. When it's not a work-focused situation, the conversation always trickles back to men. Because it's what women are interested in. And so Joyce was talking about, why do girls spend so much time discussing others' weaknesses? These concerns must have led girls to survive better when they grow up. Girls need to be able to depend on others for survival. Talking about important others and figuring out who is helpful and who is not is how they survive, right? So that makes a lot of sense. It's what we were talking about before, girls and allo parents and all of that. This is true across diverse cultures. And so, yeah, I just started the part where she just arrived to Uganda to learn about sex differences around about children in a non-Western culture. So I'm going to keep reading about that and bringing up the things that are interesting. What else did I want to cover today? Um, let's see. I have this written on my whiteboard over here. I'm like, oh, what else did I want to cover today? Oh, okay. Let me read these comments and then I'm going to cover one last final thing that I think is just funny. Okay. Evolutionarily, competitive males probably got access to more females. Competition is fundamental to male nature. That's the most frustrating aspect of the modern workplace to me. I want to be a team against the other team, not infighting with our team and gossip. Yes, 100,000%. That is, I think, the key frustration in workplace dynamics. And like, I guess what I want to say is some women pretend like they like competition, but I just don't think they do. Like innately, women don't care about competition in that way, that intergroup competition. It's not important to women. It's why nobody is watching the WNBA more than men, right? Like it's not women watching these things, it's men because men love sports. So it's just a reality. And I think that's a really important thing to work out in modern workplace dynamics and just finding ways to restructure and when thinking about like structuring the work life. So I think that's really interesting. The other thing that I think is, so I spent about a month in Argentina about a month and a half ago. And one of the things that I love about Argentina, in Buenos Aires specifically, is it's it's modern and lovely and all of the things, but it's a third world country still, right? It's not the West. And so there's a lot of old school gender dynamics. There's a lot of really thoughtful people on the street. There's like, the elderly people are always like being supported by someone young. Like I remember this woman was trying to cross the street and this young teenager helped her. Just lots of really great things that I feel like aren't happening as much in the West. The other thing I noticed in Buenos Aires was that all the servers were middle-aged men. All the servers were middle-aged men. I didn't see female servers like in restaurants, in nice restaurants. I bet you might still get that in like those old school classic like American steakhouses. Like there's like Musso and Frank's in LA. Like I know that most of the servers there are male. You watch old movies. I'm thinking even of like Life is Beautiful and just different old movies. Servers are always men. There's this like gravitas and this like pride that was taken in being a waiter, a server. And it's just really interesting. In all the bars in Buenos Aires, like going in for a coffee or a breakfast, they're all men and they all have their vests on and they're all, something about that is really interesting. I remember actually when I started working at the Mercer Kitchen in New York City in Soho, this was maybe like 2011, 2012. They mostly had the men working in the dining room and they had the girls working the cocktail like lounge. And I think that was because of some of that old school thinking around like there's something about that. I'm trying to put my finger on it. What do you guys think? What is the thing about, have you noticed that like men used to be servers and now they're not anymore? And I just find that to be a weird thing that happened in culture. It's like, now it's like young people, young girls are servers, whereas it used to be older men. And I just find that interesting. There's something about going to a restaurant and having that's like very safe, very precise, all the masculine qualities that you're looking for in having a dining experience. There's something beautiful about that. I know that one of the most the things that I hear most often from men is, I just want to be of service. Like, I just want to, how can I like help? How can I do something that's meaningful in this world? I know that that's so important to men. And so there's something about like the service industry and hospitality that used to be about that. Anyway, I just think that's interesting. Okay. If nobody has any other questions, I think we'll call it. But this is really fun. I'm having a lot of fun doing this next week. And feel free, I'll post something on the channel, just like a little post. Feel free to ask, add questions or topic ideas. We'll keep like reading. What else? We'll keep reading from my books. Another thing I'm reading that I really love. I love Richard Rohr, you guys. I just love Richard Rohr. Such a incredible. He's a Roman Catholic spiritual leader, just wonderful, wonderful person. And the way that he talks about both like the Jewish Bible and both the Christian Bible in this book, really, really amazing. There's just something so beautiful. And I just love it. And actually, I'm going to read something that I think is really meaningful. It's really meaningful to me in light of all of the insane anti-Semitism that it like goes on these days. And I just like love what he wrote because I love to think about Christianity and Judaism and also indigenous cultures and indigenous knowledge. And it's just, there's so much. But he wrote, I love the clear continuities between the two testaments and clearly see Jesus as, first of all, a Jew who brilliantly thin-sliced his own tradition and gave us a wonderful lens by which to love the Jewish tradition and keep moving forward with it in an inclusive way, which became its child, Christianity. Like just all love and understanding. Like that is like, it makes me want to cry because it's just, there's so much hate out there in people and just so much misunderstanding and just people are so ill-informed and just lots of rage bait. So I loved that. And it's important to me that fun. So yeah, I'll share more stuff about myself. Thank you, Tom and Conrad. I'll share more fun stuff about myself. What am I doing? Tomorrow I'm going to a beautiful salsa event that is themed like prom night. So it's all about getting glamorous and dressing up, which I think people don't do enough in our culture. Dressing up is just so important. It shows how much you respect yourself and how much you respect others. And it goes hand in hand with my interest in menswear, which I actually studied. So I studied men's sportswear design, both in New York City and in Milan. And so it's one of the things I do too. I help men with styling and getting their wardrobe all sorted. But love it. Hello to you, Conrad. I'm glad you're having some wine with your gorgeous wife. I love that. I love, people getting together and making things work, right? Men and women are truly made to be together. And we're gonna this channel is about like pointing out what the things are, what's holding us back from that. And that's like the main intention of this. Pablo Perry in Buenos Aires, likely in tourist spots, being a server and get tips in dollars is a real good thing. People often travel 1 hour to get job in the city. Also, there's a sense of seriousness, precision, and craftsmanship when a man serves you. Yes. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. You just said it. I was like, why is it so nice when an older man is a server? It's because he's serious, he's precise, and there's such craftsmanship in that, so when I waited tables in New York City, it was very serious. It was like a 5-star hotel. It was very important that people didn't notice you. Like they had everything before they needed it and they didn't notice you. So it's just, that's what a good, great server is, right? So love that. On that note, so fun. I'm going to stop the live. This is my first one. Let me see how to do it. Okay. Truly so much gratitude for you guys and this channel. And yeah, next week we'll be back here with more topics. I would like Robert De Niro to serve my wine right now. Totally agree with you. 1,000,000%. Okay. Ciao, everybody.